Thank you, our master of ceremonies, now Marlene. I'm not sure why the English language masculinizes this position, irrespective of when we have such an attractive person in charge. But I'll not seek to be political or correct this evening. I'll tell you the story because the last time I did, I got in some serious trouble. I was a sixth form student and I decided to present a gift to my English teacher who had done very well when I was leaving. And in correcting I decided to use at the time the very popular book and change the title to Sir with Love to Mother with Love. She gently reminded me what mother meant. In, right. So I don't want to get in and do this evening. Mr. Crawford, my counselor and colleague, and of course his worst Mayor, Councillor Homer Davis, our distinguished guest, but I have to mention Mr. Joseph Bogdanovich, who not only spoke briefly, while speaking very briefly, is the principal sponsor of this very special exhibition in Montego Bay. And I must begin by congratulating our visionary, Mr. Dwight Crawford, for conceptualizing and taking the time and find the energy and the funding to execute this exhibition in Montego Bay at this time. And to all of you supporting him, let me say good evening and welcome and commend you too for the support you're extending to this young man. It is somewhat surprising that in fact we have never had an exposition devoted to the building sector, frankly. It's not only a large contributor to the entire economy and the growth of the product, it employs maybe one of the widest cross-section of professionals in any sector, from attractive architects like Ms. Madden, engineers, quantity surveyors, accountants, real estate lawyers, developers, business people, investors of varying kind, various technicians, and to the very bottom, as my former prime minister reminded me, is one of the few industries where someone can walk out of a prison, put on a pair, and have no idea, walk to a site and get a job. And that's why he likes the industry to be active, can provide jobs for pretty much the entire cross-section of society. In addition to that, it is well known that when the building sector is active, it is one of the index used to judge growth in the economy. In fact, the developed societies often use housing starts. So many times you read that the American economy tell you that the housing starts for 2016, 2017 was X amount, X millions, and they'll tell you the X amount going up. And instead of GDP or other factors, one of the big basic indices of an active economy. And therefore, a bit surprised when I had this kind of event, and so I'm very pleased to be here to extend the government support to Mr. Crawford and his team for initiating Build Expo and Conference 2017. And I can see from his early presentation a very distinguished panel of presenters in all areas of the building industry. It comes at a very timely occasion and a good time for Jamaica, also at a good location. Not only because I'm in Montego Bay as a Montegonian, but Montego Bay is indeed one of the fastest growing sector, the fastest growing city in Jamaica, and the economy, in fact, currently revolves a lot around the growth around Montego Bay and the North Coast. We expect the entire economy to grow, and the policy of the government to expect to do that, and there are signs we are going to have growth elsewhere, and we have done work that will, in fact, make sure the growth is spread across and not so much reducing growth in Montego Bay. Others hopefully will catch up and copy some of the entrepreneurial spirit of Montego Bay. And I can pause it, that in fact Montego Bay seems to have almost an overabundance of entrepreneurial spirit. Sometimes it doesn't quite work in our interest, but they find all kind of things to be enterprising about. But if you examine the growth in the economy in recent time, you realize that maybe in the last 2 decades, much of the new business that has evolved and grown in national state has come out of Montego Bay. We have the largest real estate development company out of Montego Bay. Sanders, our largest, is a Montego Bay company. Mr. Stewart comes out of Kingston. We have had in recent times the two largest distributors, and Jamaica's business have tended to be characterized by large conglomerates in distribution and retail sales are Montegonians. They have, CPJ and Rainforest have been innovative new commercial business, and in the entertainment world, Sunfest was the dominant music festival for many years. Montego Bay has shown entrepreneurship and creativity, and I guess it's good to say that what Dwight is doing here is reflective of that, and it's good to have you here, and again, commend you. and I want to welcome Mr. Bogdanovich to the Montego Bay community. I know you're in Jamaica, and I know you are, but we want, I think you have come into Montego. I know you have taken some place, in the industrial business, but I think you have taken to Montego Bay. Your character suits us more than it suits Kingston, I'm sure. I think you'll find much, much more interesting being in Montego Bay. But mentioned the timing because the country is poised for growth, and despite of all the talent we have, we don't have enough of them for sure, but we have a lot of talent. We are very concerted builders, very concerted. Most, if you travel Jamaica, except for the informal settlements where poverty overwhelms what is happening, you'll find that where the money is available, we are dominated by concrete and steel. It's what Jamaica like to build with, and without even the creative side of it. I mean, you'll see millions of dollars put down in sheer concrete and steel and structures where someday I wonder who designed it. But once there is enough concrete and steel going up in a big city, it's like we're impressed by that. That's what we like. A huge concrete structure on top of a hill, going up 3 or 4 floors. That's the typical Jamaican message that I have wealth and I can do things well and I build. And the time really, at this time in our history, there's emerging technology which can give you buildings that will satisfy our building standards in terms of the need to withstand a Category 5 hurricane and the possibility of an earthquake in degree 7 degree earthquake. That's true, but there are many other materials that are not necessarily just big 6-inch blocks and steel that can give you that kind of response, and designs that can also give you a much more friendly, environmentally and humanly friendly environment. And I'd expect that this particular exhibition coming at this time, and with the kind of lineup of speakers and the business that will exhibit there, will bring home to those who are investing now what is possible. And maybe, just maybe, we begin to develop a Montego Bay character in architecture. We have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to change. And while we kind of assume a number of things, Montego Bay is having quite a dynamic activity in the construction sector. And it's not just we need to build homes. We need to, well, at a very basic level, I have to upgrade the informal settlements and provide additional homes to prevent more informal settlements. And so we had quite an interesting development with a working community in Estuarian in Irwin, a 4.5 million home. But again, still haven't got to the creative level of changing some of the material and designs. But beside the basic stuff, Montego Bay has many large hotel institutions going up around the area. And that's room for creativity, but again, that's one type of construction. We have one of the Caribbean's largest airport, and there's all the construction at the airport. It's a different kind of construction, and offers opportunity for the engineers, the architects, and the designers, and so forth. And we are in the process of expanding our port to be a multifunctional port, which will deal with cruise shipping and cargo and fuel. So there's a lot of opportunity in Montego Bay to show not only hard engineering, but creative opportunity for our professionals. But unfortunately, I said, we don't seem to have enough of them. We still have ISIA holding up the flag, but we need more. And for those who are coming in, we need to see more creativity. And I think it's a good time to bring greater creativity to the table as we expand and grow, because during the time of growth is when you set the stage for new ideas and that will be accepted and change the character of our environment. That's what the build environment really does. The BPO sector is expanding almost exponentially, and that too allows opportunity to begin to look at what we do with the facade of a building. And of course, next door to us, which is almost a suburb of Montego Bay, and more the people in Shillong might like to say that, but Falmouth is an extension of Montego Bay in many ways. We have opportunity to really transform Falmouth into a period town, as we speak of the Georgian architecture. So the opportunity is there for a wide cross-section, not only of jobs and work opportunities, but to really become creative in the build sector and begin to display a new kind of built environment and change the character of the whole township in this area. And I hope that this particular conference will begin to set the minds thinking, the developers, the architects, the engineers, to look what can be done cost efficiently, but also creatively to really give us some, some new experiences in the built environment in Montego Bay and the West in particular. It's crucial we do it not only for the satisfaction of city life, because you have to. It can become quite a job if the architecture is wrong, quite frankly. But beside that, we the resort industries like to remain the principal economic driver on the North Coast, right? And services which can gel with that, like the business process services, because they're not the hard activity, bauxite and industrial manufacturing is like to remain on the South Coast of the island. I don't think you want a plan to bag cement up here. It just doesn't fit you know, in this area. So we have to ensure that our built environment retains a certain character, and character that is friendly, that welcomes our visitors as well as make it feel. It encourages people to be friendly and open and to be relaxed. That's what resort means. It's not just those who are coming here that want to feel relaxed in the environment, but those who are here serving and working. So the traditional concept of Montego being a friendly city despite of our crime should be remain, and we can create the environment that really draws it there. And I hope that this expo, I said, will begin to demonstrate this and bring some more thought there. To mention, there are a few other things happening that coincide with this will help. Montego Bay has some of the, beside the informal settlements, we have urban decay in the center of the town. We have had recent intervention from some of our international partners. The Council, Mayor can tell you, and Council Crawford is aware. Inter-American Development Bank is here on a project called One City. One Bay, One City for All, right? But we're doing some serious work, creative work, to try and reverse some of the urban decay. And we are working with the local authority and the Ministry of Housing and a number of other agencies to bring some renewal downtown, and that will require some creative activity. In fact, only today I was looking at some work to look at how we can do some work on the Canterbury North Gully area. In fact, they'll be focused on that as a sample area, how we can restore some character to the area, reduce the density, and bring about the kind of environment we like to see in where people can reside. So there are things happening all around Montego Bay which allows for the intervention of the professionals as well as the participation of all the wider citizenry at all levels to bring about the kind of change we want in the built environment. And I'd expect coming out of the entire discussion in this area, we'll see some new ideas coming. And I'd like to end note of really a better appreciation for additional technology. I really think, I said, we are too dependent on the heavy stuff. Everything we build, we want 16-inch blocks and half-inch steel and 3/4 and 1-inch steel sticking up all over. There is a lot of other material, a lot of ways of using it and really giving us nice buildings, attractive buildings, and in fact, environmentally friendly activity. We need to really engage our architects and our engineers more. The fact is that we don't produce enough of them. This country graduates about 200 engineers annually, and I think far less architects. It's semi-term, but I figure maybe less than 2 dozen. Yeah, no. At that level, I must say to you, speaking from the seat I'm in, that the country cannot have sustainable growth. At some point, we're going to hit a ceiling unless we create more technically competent people in those fields, in particular engineering, and we're taking some steps to do that. But I mentioned until that among the problems we face, of course, and I'm not advertising for my architects here, no, and the other architects that you see at Montego Bay, although she's the most beautiful one. The fact is that maybe 80% of the buildings in Jamaica are not designed by architects. And that's part of our problem. And at another level, in our local authorities and our planning authorities and NEPA, we will have to begin to look at that particular problem. Because that's part of the problem you face. I'd say 80% might be even conservative. Most buildings are drawn by somebody, some technician who just draw a building. And that's why I end up with what's happening. And nothing wrong in having these individuals doing work and having them involved in the building industry. But we do need to begin to look at what we're producing and get some more professionalism into the activity. And that involves both training more and then engaging them in a definite way and ensuring that the planning authority through the local authorities and the NEPA, National Environmental Planning Agency, insist on certain standards, not only in terms of physical standards that can withstand the hurricane and the earthquake, but also let's get some aesthetics into the whole process. The fact is that the environment in which we live can determine much of the social character. But there's always a debate if in fact some of the violence we have in Montego Bay is not determined because we have so much informal settlements. And it's a very relevant question. Many people say it is. There might be debate around it, whether it's poverty or informality or a mixture of both or a mixture of all. And oftentimes, in Montego, it's not just poverty, is not the whole cause of informality. But once you get informality and illegality, it feeds on itself. And you create a whole alternative lifestyle and an alternative legal system, alternative everything. And therefore, it is critical that we get our entire system in some kind of order, which means that we begin with our built environment. Build according to the rules, build with creatively to create an environment in which all of us can feel very comfortable, all of us can feel at home, and all of us feel to be a part of it. This particular conference, I said, will generate a lot of discussion and could be spoke about for a long time. I think I made the point. I think I'd love to welcome this particular exhibition and conference, to wish success, to give you all the support I can, and hope it will really stimulate the kind of thinking that we want to begin to bring about a certain order in the built environment. For me personally, as I would say, it is not only timely, but there's some coincidental because some of what we have been trying to do in government, and there are challenges and there are issues that have been raised, but the ministry which I occupy, which has responsibility for the built environment, we encompasses all the infrastructure of government and all the regulatory that determines what gets built, and we're making some policy shifts. But one of the challenges I've faced here is just to get the various agents to align properly. And activities like this outside of the government circle helps to align the thinking. And I wish, Liba again success and congratulate on the whole event. To all of you here who will participate in the event, visit the expo, get involved in discussions, and begin the new thinking for a much better quality built environment on around Montego Bay, but that one will impact on the entire island. Thank you very much for putting this on. Welcome.